Welcome guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. With me today I got my guy Michael Scott. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up? My name is Mike Scott. Man, just enjoying being here, man. Being blessed in this video, man. Thank you, movie, for having me on here.
Yes,
It's we're gonna get into some things for sure, man. Let's get it.
So a couple days ago, about like 2 to 3 days ago, I asked you guys to leave questions in my IG story and my TikTok story, and y'all did exactly that. Y'all asked some interesting questions, some questions about religion, some questions about our future, just spouse, whatever it is. So I appreciate everyone who left a question in the box. And yeah, we're just gonna get straight into it. So before we even like get into any of the questions, yeah, go ahead and like a brief introduction of yourself and just like your childhood. Nothing too crazy. Also open your phone. That shit locked.
So I grew up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is the northeast side of Indiana, almost to the border of Ohio. So, you know, very, very diverse place. Just me growing up as a kid, I was a person that observed everything around me because I'm a mixed kid. 25% Mexican, 25% Caucasian, and 50% Nigerian. So, you know, just looking at life in a lot of different ways. You know, I like, you know, just like to study things. You know, so this is where I am today. Now, this is where it's taking me.
Yes, sir. Yo, and make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. We're out in the 101-degree weather. It's hot as hell out here. So, yo, without further introduction, let's get into the very first question. The very first question is, let me pull it up. Very first question, so what did you learn from 2023 so far? So we're almost done with the year. We have about 4 or 5 months left. So far in 2023, what knowledge or what have you learned?
I'd say from the start of January 2023, it was actually a pivotal point in my life. You know, I was here for the first time in college, especially playing basketball and being a student after 2 years of not doing so. I've been in basketball for, I'd say, probably around 15 years now, and you know, I had to figure some stuff out and come back, and I feel like, you know, hitting this thing head first has shown me a lot about who I am. And I'd say the main thing was basically, you know, standing pride for what I am and actually, you know, recognizing what my purpose is. I'd say is what I learned in 2023 for sure.
That's a great answer. And as for me, like so far in 2023, I definitely matured a lot more. That's what I can say. Like coming into college, straight out of high school, I was kind of a little bit immature, kind of like always joked around. I still joke around a lot. I'm still a little bit immature, but I feel like I've become a little bit more mature, and yeah, and like just like moving a certain type of way. You feel me? But I'm still like the same goofy kid I am, but just like a little bit more mature. It keeps locking. You might have to open that shit. Too good for you.
But yeah, I'd say I can agree. Like, it's like almost like your mind has built a layer of structure to it. Like, you know, like that mental, that mindset base that you have to start off with. I feel like it's definitely what I developed this year for sure.
Great answer. Okay, so question 2. What are your goals for this upcoming year? So as of 2024, we're about, like I said, 3, 4, 5 months away from it. So what would be your goals for 2024?
I'd say my number one main goal is always higher spiritual attainment. Just getting to understand how things work, and also being an ever-changing person, you know, like not being biased to things. So
kind of like open-minded.
Yeah, just more open-minded, and two, also building abundance. You know, it might be in music, you know, because I do music. It might be basketball. It might just be being a student in the earth period. You know, spreading knowledge, anything. I'm just looking for that number one thing to provide for the rest of them.
Great answer. Yeah. And as for me, so far for this upcoming year, what is the goals for this upcoming year? So obviously, I want to get monetized on YouTube for one. I want to grow like on YouTube and on TikTok and just social media in general. And as far as like the basketball side, obviously get better, go to a 4-year, develop, and I also want to start practicing gratitude in 2024. I feel like I am pretty grateful, but I feel like I can, be a little bit more grateful and a little bit more just grateful for everything around me, because like stuff isn't always as it seems, and it's not always the same, Okay, on that topic for question number 3, what is your biggest fear? It's a good one. I appreciate AJ for this one. It's a good one.
That's a good question, man. I'd say my biggest fear is to get stuck in a bad cycle. Like,
which means you said a bad cycle?
Bad cycle.
Okay.
Like, if I'm not utilizing my day, or I'm utilizing my day with things that degrade me rather than make me learn something better, and I'm not learning anything, that's what I fear, is getting stagnant at a stage in life. That's probably my only number one no, because everything else you have to experience, but you have the choice to be able to achieve things and see things for how they are.
That's a great ass answer. As for me, biggest fear, I'll give you a worldly one. My biggest fear, like I would probably say, is kind of like you said, kind of being stagnant a little bit. But like I don't want to be like 24, 25 years old and still stuck in the same place, not still doing nothing. So kind of the same thing you said. And from like a religious standpoint, because I'm very religious, from a religious standpoint, I would also say going to hell. I feel like that's a big fear of mine. Yeah, like, cause I don't know if you believe in the afterlife, but I do. So I'll probably just say like, yeah, really just going to hell would probably be like one of my biggest fears outside of the worldly life. Yep. All right, question 3. This is from Coach Leak. Appreciate it again. What advice would you give freshmen going into their first year at JUCO? So you played your first year already. You're about to enter. We're in our second year already. So what would be your? Let's go two pieces of advice for freshmen coming into JUCO or just college basketball period.
So number 1, I would say, man, do not put your head into basketball first, or like any sport, going into JUCO. I would say use your first year to figure out yourself. Figure out what you like, figure out your niche, even with sports, even when it comes to academics or the way you socialize with people. Find your niche. After you find your niche, then I feel like sophomore year, things will start to fall into place naturally, because nobody knows you. You have people that have a year to 3 years ahead of you of this society that you've been born into. So what are you going to do to get acclimated? Because if you try to go head on first from experience, like you just go head on first, and it's kind of like, you know things, but you also got to get to know the people around you as well and see where you mesh in at that. And I feel like that's very vital.
Okay. Kind of like rolling off of that, I would probably say for me, my biggest advice for someone going into their first year of JUCO or just college basketball period would don't compare yourself. Like, don't compare yourself to other people. I feel like we get so caught up in comparisons, like especially on social media. Yep. You see someone who's doing like something amazing, and you start comparing yourself, and you start getting in your own head. So that's probably one thing I'd say: don't compare yourself. And number 2 is work. Like, obviously, work in the classroom, work in the field or in the court. And just like you said, work on yourself. Like, who was it? Haley Van Lith? I don't know if you see her story. She was saying when she got hurt, she was kind of in a dark place because all her life she was just putting everything into basketball. And when she got hurt and she couldn't play anymore, she was kind of stuck, and she was kind of sad because she didn't know what to do. So obviously put the work in the classroom and in the court. But also, like you said, find a niche and find something that you can put your time into outside of basketball. Okay. So we're just going to the next question that Leak also said it. Who is the best basketball team in CLC history? He's trying to be a clown at this one. This nigga trying to be a clown. We obviously know the answer is probably his year. What was it, 2018, 2019? They made it to the Final Four. So we're not even going to get into that one. We're not going to entertain that shit. Okay, so question, what is it, 5 or 6? What made you start hooping? Let me get this one.
Man, look at me, man. I'm 6'8", bro. I mean, I didn't have a choice. I've always been the kid that was taller than everybody, I remember the first time, man, I was at Sam's Club, and I was like 5'6", and somebody was like, hey, calling my mom, like, hey, all you hear is, your kid playing these sports. Ever since then, man, changed my whole life, man. And yeah, that's pretty much how it started. I wasn't really fond of sports. My family comes from, music. So, like, I'm very musically inclined, but it's crazy because I'm starting to mix the musical nature with basketball, getting into the flow and harmonization with myself while I'm playing. I'm really big into that. That's where I play my best. So I say that definitely that's what got me started, man. For sure, just being young and being tall, man.
That's a majority of hoopers. But for me, it wasn't even nothing like that. Like, so I was born in Africa. I wasn't born in America, and the big sport in Africa is soccer. So like my whole childhood, I would just be playing soccer until like the first grade when I came to America, and then I started playing football. I played football for about like 2-3 grades, and then I almost got a concussion in football. Like I got hit so hard from both sides. After that, I changed to basketball. So yeah, so it went from soccer to football to basketball. And my best friend, yeah, shout out to Damien. He literally just said, yo, why don't you just try out for the basketball team? Because in middle school, nobody gets cut in middle school. So they said it'll just be like a fun little experience. Why don't you try out? We both ended up trying out. We both made the worst team because we sucked. But it was just like when we first picked up at basketball. So like that's how I got introduced into basketball. And then it just went on from there. And then I just kept picking it up. And then I would say like around my 8th grade year, like going into my freshman year, is when I started taking it serious. And then the rest is history. Yeah. Oh, this one, I don't know. I haven't asked you this question, but I don't think I asked you this question before. When do you want to get married? Or do you even want to get married? Because I know certain people who don't want to get married.
I mean, really, I just want a soulmate. You know, we can marry each other.
For sure.
We can marry each other, but you know what I'm saying, like, I feel like it's not really that complicated, you know what I'm saying, to get married or not to get married. I feel like, you know, if you guys really feel like you guys are that person, you guys will work each other and be loyal for you guys this whole life. And
so you're kind of saying there's no need for labels, like if you're my soulmate, I'm your soulmate. We don't need to put a label on it, kind of thing.
Yeah, like, cause you know, I'm not gonna go around and be like, you know, we're married, you know, we're gonna be, you know,
together.
we're gonna be a co-unit. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, you're not, sir. You won't be stressing over it.
No, like not stressing over it. If they want to get married, okay, cool. But you know, I might propose too. Who knows? You know, who depends on? Like, it just depends on how it goes. But that's what I see. Like I want to have a partner, 100%.
Partner, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, especially so I'm Muslim. Obviously, like I'm gonna keep bringing this up probably in the video, but in Islam, for you to marry, marriage is like heavily encouraged in Islam.
Yeah. So
I definitely want to get married. Like I remember, like straight out of high school, I was trying to get married. That shit did not work. Straight out of high school, I was trying to get married. But like you said, I do want to get married, but like I wouldn't. Like I'm not gonna rush anything. You feel me? Like if I find the one, I'm gonna find the one. Cool. If not, God is the best of planners. You know.
Right.
Like when the perfect person comes and everything's aligned, as certain people say. I feel like then that'll be the time, but
I feel like marriage is an experience in itself rather than a label. You know what I'm saying? Like a marriage is something. It's an entity.
Okay, say it again.
A marriage is an entity. It's a thing that you confine yourself to rather than, hey, let's go get married, because we can go get married, but we might not mesh together, or we might have issues in our life that collide with each other. Next thing you know, we're getting divorced. But that's what I don't want.
That's also one of my biggest fears. Like going back to that one question. Like another fear is, like, let's say I do marry someone, and let's say we end up getting a divorce, and it won't even be bad if you don't have any kids. But imagine kids are in the equation, so now it's you, your spouse, and your kids. So now you're tied down to that person, basically for the rest of your life. So that's also another big fear. So, like me, let's say when I do go into marriage, like I'm not even gonna think about I would see divorce as like a last resort type of thing, you know, like you know, I feel like nowadays it's like you guys get into like a argument, and it's just like, okay, I'm done with you, you're done with me. Let's go our separate ways. Like the whole marriage is hard. Like people don't really believe like that whole 50-50 bullshit. Like I don't agree with that, because some days I might not be able to get 50. Some days you might not be able to get 50. Let's say you had a long day from work, you came home, you're tired as hell. Like I can pick up the extra load. And days that I'm tired, you can pick up the extra load. You know? Yeah. So great question, by the way. Appreciate whoever said that. Okay, next one. How did you like Africa? So that's kind of like for me. I don't think you've been to Africa, but like you said, if you want to say something about it, go ahead. But for me, I really enjoyed it. You know, like I was born in Africa, obviously, but then I came here when I was super young, so I really don't have like much recollection of it. And then I went back 2020, right before COVID. Biggest blessing of my life.
Yeah. Wow.
Right before COVID, I went back to Africa, so I wasn't like locked down in the house, or I wasn't quarantining because we didn't have like a big COVID case over there. Yeah, but it was like I said, it was very humbling. Like I went there, I was expecting to live in like a huge mansion, this, that, and the third. But the thing that like really like where I really humbled me is like, let's say I would just be watching TV right now, and the light or the electricity would go out, and that really doesn't happen in America. So it's just like something as simple as that we take for granted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it was obviously an amazing experience, but it was also very humbling.
For me, I say I've never been to Africa, but I direly feel like my soul resides there. Not only because of the fact of my ancestors come from West Africa. You know what I'm saying?
Nigerian, yep.
Yep, Nigeria.
Okay.
So like, I really want to experience that. Also, if something really triggers my brain to go to Greater Accra. You know what I'm saying?
Where is that? Is that in Africa?
Yeah.
I have not heard of that. Okay.
I believe it's on the south coast.
Might be. You know more than me. I don't. I'm not gonna lie.
And I learned that basically currency runs different there. You get $3,000 there. You also have 15,000 cedi there. So it's like and it's I'm pretty sure the economy is probably a little bit different. I don't know how it runs there, but there are also great things happening for Africa here coming soon.
You heard of BRICS, right? You heard of the BRICS?
It's amazing, man. I think it's amazing.
Like when I saw that shit, I was looking kind of a little bit happy because it's what was it? It's Brazil, Russia, China, South Africa, and what was the other country? BRICS. What did the I stand for? What was the I? I forgot what the I was, but and then I was looking like at the news and stuff, and Russia ended up forgiving, like, you know how like countries owe other countries debt.
Right.
Russia forgave every country all the debt it owed. So I was like, that should make me super happy. Now you like, as the president, like let's say the president of Somalia, for example, because that's where I'm from, he got pardoned, so he doesn't have to pay the $23 billion we owed. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like you could take that money, you could put it into your own economy. So like you said, Africa got big things coming for it. That's the real shit. Big things coming for it. All right, let's see. Ooh, 3. This kind of ties into, do you want to get married? It necessarily doesn't, but do you want kids?
Most definitely, man. Like, what? That's just
yeah.
I'm like, that's the feet of my cause here. Like, come on, man.
Hell yeah. How much would you want? How much kids do you want? Like, realistic, if you had the choice, how much would you say?
Man, to be honest with you, I want a dynasty. If I could have 10, I would have 10, man.
Damn, 10? That is a crazy headache. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's a crazy headache, but honestly, man, like, you just have so many sources of love to transfer each other from. Like, that's a big, healthy family.
That is. I'm not gonna lie. Like for me, like my older sister, like I'm the baby of my house. Right? I'm the baby of the house. So my older sister, my older brother, and my other older sister, they all have kids and nephews, and like I pretty much raised them. So it's kind of like seeing them from when they're kids, and now she's going into freaking 3rd grade and 2nd grade. It's kind of like just a little bit of joy, just like seeing them grow up and seeing them turn into their own person. So I obviously also want kids, but if I could pick, I'd probably say like 5 at most. Like I want a starting 5, and then I'll be good. Like once I get my starting 5, I'll be good. Okay, let me ask you this: do you want a boy or a girl as your first child?
That's interesting, man. Man, that's crazy. I don't know. Maybe I'd say a girl.
You say a girl?
Yeah.
Damn, why? Because the majority of guys are like, oh, I want a boy as my first son, you know?
I don't know. Like, number one, there's never really been a girl in our family.
Your whole family just all boys?
Pretty much, besides my mom and my aunts, you know what I'm saying? But, all my cousins and all of us, we're all young. We're all boys. I'm also the oldest of them, too, so. I don't know, like, I've been around a lot of masculinity,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in tune with also my masculine, but also my feminine as well. I just...
People are like, bro, I hate when, like, I was scrolling on TikTok or some shit, and then this guy did something, and then the TikTok, like, the whole comments was, oh, he's sassy, this, that, and third sassy. Like, what the? Like, we get called sassy for doing the most simplest thing. Like someone's, like, he was drinking Starbucks. Someone called him sassy for drinking Starbucks. One of them, he had an umbrella in the rain. Do you just want the rain pouring on me? Like, what? So, I feel like the word is kind of, like, hyper-masculinated,
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, hyper-masculinity, but also, like, no remorse for the way you think. Like, every day, it's just like this. It should just be like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I have a little bit more of an open-mindedness to just do something, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be able to articulate what I'm going through in life,
Hey, that's really hey. But as for me, like, as my first kid, I probably would want a boy because I'm kind of like on the opposite spectrum.
Yeah.
Like the majority of my family is women.
Yeah.
So, like, I've been surrounded by women my whole life. I have like 6 sisters, my mom, my aunt, my grandma. So I'm just surrounded by a bunch of women. So like I probably would like. Also, I want a boy as my first kid, just so like, he could protect his younger siblings, type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But for sure. Question 4. This is getting into that spirituality that Mike was talking about. When did you start becoming religious? I can go first if you want, or you could go. It's up to you.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I would say I was a heavy Christian. I was in the choir at a young age, Pentecostal to be exact. I would say that I've never been religious because my dialect has always been connected to the source of like purity. You know what I'm saying? So like I never really focused on what you shouldn't do. I was always focused on the way you should be.
Or like how you should do it.
Yeah, how you should go about life, you know? So like I feel like me not being in tune with the blockages that that's created there, like don't do this, don't do that. I feel like not minding that has made me more subject to going out and experiencing things. So I feel like that's where I found spirituality. You know?
So you would say you're more spiritual, but you're not religious, kind of.
No, because like I feel like I'm not religious. The only way you could call me religious if I was opposed against negative energy.
Okay.
You know, that could be religiously positive. You know, if you think about it like that. But like, I feel like some things that are redundant are just meant to be redundant. And when there's time to be an ailment to things, you can be an ailment without noticing the negativity because you are a part of the positive force. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So if there's a lot of bad things going on right here, and you step in just with your energy and demeanor alone being positive, you now have kind of changed their way of thinking because they're surrounded around a lot of negative thoughts. You come in and you
kind of change the way they think.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like for that, you know, is why I'm more spiritual than religious because I support religion. I think, you know, religion you can't just take away religion, man. It's been here since the root origins of
the beginning of time.
So it's just like, you know, like it's just I learned a lot from religion. That's all I can say. But yeah, I found my spirituality around 18 years old, and it's just I pay attention to a lot of cues in my life. You know, more so with started with numbers, you know, and crystals. And people say that that's cliche, but you know, it's all about how you utilize these tools, man. Like, you know, I don't see a crystal as something majestic. You know, I look at a crystal for what it truly means. You know, I do research on that crystal and see what frequency that's at. You know, maybe it's something about good attitude or positive attitude. Well, now I have something there keenly to remind me something of that, and it's from, you know, nature, so I can appreciate it.
Oh, so because with the whole crystal thing, like me, it doesn't make sense to me, and I'm like, no disrespect, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. Like crystal, like what I see on TikTok and on YouTube when people talk about crystals, is they say that like they'll have a certain type of crystal, and they say this crystal will bring blessings into my life, or this crystal will help me get the new job. Like realistically, just from my point of view, like how can if you look at it from just for what it is, no disrespect again, it is just a rock at the end of the day, right?
It is, yeah. It's
just a rock. So how can a rock bring blessings into my life, or how can a rock give me that job I've been desperately wanting? You know what I mean?
See, and this is exactly why I don't go to like. Me personally, I can't stand the spiritual stuff on TikTok. Because, like, bro,
it be blowing me on TikTok, bro.
It's like, bro, you can't just come in and do it. Like, it's all up to you how you perceive it. It doesn't matter if I've ever seen that crystal or not. If I'm on TikTok and I see that crystal is gonna give me blessings, all I have to do is be like, okay, now I have blessings, but how am I gonna portray my life to get those blessings? You know, like that stuff I feel like is all ineffective, and I feel like it's all just into a algorithm, bro.
So you're saying you could have the crystals, but you still have to put in the work, is what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah. Like. Yeah. It's just like, you know, having a crucifix on your wall, you know.
Like a cross on your chest. Oh, okay. That's kind of something. So you can believe in it, but at the end of the day, you still have to put in the work. You still have to go into the interview. You still have to do everything to get the job.
Correct.
Okay. Because how I understood it, just like people would say, "Oh, this crystal, give me this job," but they won't do anything to.
Those are lazy people.
Lazy.
Those are lazy ass people, man.
Oh my God! I don't know this. As for me, like I've been pretty much religious my whole life. I was born into a Muslim household. Alhamdulillah, thank God for that. And I would say I really started becoming religious like turning like my not my freshman year, my sophomore year is when I started really becoming religious. Like I've always prayed and I've always fasted when I was younger, but there wasn't kind of like intention behind it. You feel me? Like I was doing it just because my parents were telling me to do it, right? And in Islam, there's a saying, it's a hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Everything is judged by intention. We were talking about last night. Everything is judged by intention. So, like, turning into my sophomore year, I started really watching a lot of lectures, a lot of speeches. This YouTube channel called Most of a Servant, if you want to check it out. That's really where I gained most of my Islamic knowledge from. Yeah, and then after that, then I started praying on my own. Like, my mom wouldn't necessarily have to tell me to get up and pray. Like, I would just be praying by myself. The month of Ramadan, like, I would put it on my calendar. Like, I would try to somewhat revolve my day around my prayers. And then it really started kicking off, like, my junior, going into my senior years, when I like multiplied it. So after that, like, everything was just by myself wholeheartedly. So I've been really religious my whole life, but the turning point, I would say, probably like my sophomore going into my junior years, when I really started becoming more religious, as the question says. That's a great question. Though. Shout out to whoever asked that again.
Start a good conversation.
Oh, okay, this one. This is kind of like on the opposite end. What are some weirdest food combinations you enjoy? Some weird food combinations you like a guilty pleasure type shit.
Shout out my teammate Isaac, man. He said that fries and mayo is that European stuff. so they be eating that mayonnaise with the fries.
Mayonnaise with the fries is crazy.
I think it's good, bro.
You think it's good?
Yeah, man.
Hey, I haven't tried. No, like I can't really say it's not good or not because I myself haven't tried it. But for me, like I would say, I put pickles on everything. Like I go to Wendy's, I go to 444, I get a chicken sandwich, extra pickles. Go to Chick-fil-A, extra pickles. So like even with my tacos, I put pickles in it. Like I don't see it as weird, but some people might view it as weird. But that's probably what I'd say. Okay, this one, question, what are we at, 10, 11 now? Maybe 12? Okay, what behavior do you find strangely endearing or attractive?
Strangely?
Yeah, strangely endearing, like something kind of like out of the ordinary, like something like, you know, when you see someone, like you like, it won't be the first quality you look at, but once you get to know them a little bit, you start to find attractive. I could go first while you think about it. Yeah. For me, I'd say it's kind of like motherly qualities. If a woman has motherly qualities, like if she's good with kids, and like she kind of like, yeah, she's good with kids. She's like basically motherly qualities. Like I just kind of find that attractive a little bit. I don't know why. I don't know, just the way we were programmed. But that's what I kind of strangely find attractive.
What gets me, bro? Because, you know, it's really hard to get that out of anybody anymore, but it's articulation, man. If you can articulate, if you can break down situations, like talk that out and map it out, like right in front of you. Yeah. If you're able to do that,
they got your heart locked.
It's over with.
No, I kind of can see that. Like, I'd probably say, like, someone with good communication skills. Yeah. Like, if we could just, if we can have a long conversation, we could just sit down and enjoy ourselves, and like, just like, it'll be like 4 or 5 hours past. And we're still talking, and then we just be like, whoa, like, where did all the time go, you know? I find that also kind of like, I find that also super attractive.
That's some divine spark stuff, because
you
go to
kind of like a twin flame, right?
Different, like, yeah, you go to a whole different, you know, mind state. Like, you go to a different dimension.
Yeah, you gotta just locked in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Question 13 or 14. What are some must-have qualities in a best friend? Let's make it more broad. Best friend or spouse, must-have qualities.
Loyalty, man.
Loyalty.
That's it.
Just loyalty?
Yeah. Like loyalty, like, you know, of course, if you're disrespectful, that's just not gonna work out.
That's not gonna.
But if you're loyal, that's all that matters, because you experience life together no matter what each other's going through. That's what I see it as.
But I feel like for me that's kind of like a no-brainer. Like if the person cheats on you, this time they're like out the door. Yeah. But like me, every time I see like an old couple walking down Target or just walking down the street, I'd be like, that's the type of shit I want. But for me, I'd say, what was the question again? Must-have qualities. I'd probably say, obviously, like if they're religious, if they're on deen, that's for me. If they wear the hijab, that would be another one. Like I said, if they can carry a conversation, like I hate talking to people who give one-worded answers. Like, how's your day? I'm good. What do you like? Food. Like, bro, like, what are we doing here? Come on, bro. So if you can carry a conversation, like the bar is low now. Nowadays the bar is very low. So if you can carry a conversation and you're on deen, that's pretty much what I enjoy or I find like superly attractive. Okay, so question 15. What smell do you associate with your childhood? Is there like a certain smell where you smell it and then like you think of your younger days? I already have one in mind.
That's crazy.
You can think about it. I got
Alright,
you.
yeah, go ahead.
For me, I'd say anchero and sha. You don't know, it's East African food.
Mhm.
Sha is kind of like a tea, and anchero is kind of like a pastry. The bread. It's not a bread, but it's made with flour and stuff. That's my favorite breakfast. So like every time in the morning, my mom makes anchero and this sha, brightens my whole day up. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I just think of when I was back in Africa as a youth, as a youngin. So that's probably the smell I associate with my childhood.
Honestly, that's crazy, man. Like I never really associated anything.
And, okay, how about this?
Childhood.
It necessarily doesn't have to be a smell. Let's say like a
Like
a
a
feeling,
deja
a
vu.
thought, or like anything you associate with your childhood. Music maybe because you're musically inclined.
Yeah, I say jazz.
You say jazz music?
Jazz. It's
Yeah,
definitely-
okay.
It's definitely it. Cause like jazz to a kid in the 2000s, like what is this? You know what I'm saying? You got hip hop popping off and stuff. R&B's going
Yeah.
crazy.
Uh-huh.
But my dad was always listening to Miles Davis and John Coltrane. Sonny Rogers, all them, man. So I say when I hear jazz, the only reason why I love and appreciate jazz so much is because of my dad, and that's my childhood for sure.
For sure. Okay. So this is gonna probably be the last question of the Q&A, and then I might just ask you like one or two more questions afterwards. So last question is, what is a unique tradition your family had? Okay, let's just say a tradition. It doesn't have to be unique.
Yeah, our tradition, I say, our number one tradition is no matter what, when you go to sleep, when you leave the house, when you have a conversation, you always tell each other we love each other. We have to tell each other we love each other.
Like before leaving the door type shit?
Yeah, anything, like any contact. Like if I was to text mom right now, the last thing we're saying to each other is love you. If I walk in that house, before anybody walk out, you know what I'm saying, we're always saying love you, because I don't know, I feel like it's subconscious, like, we're also a very stern family, so it's just like, you never know. We always, our motto is go out there and battle, man. Like go out there and do what you can to be better. So, you know what I'm saying, in this tough time, you know what I'm saying, you always remind each other you love each other, man, because without that, you never know. There's families out here I've never even heard my mom say she loved me. It's like, bro, like that stuff affects you.
It does.
It really does. It affects your frequencies.
Yeah.
So I really respect that, and
That's
also,
some real shit. I love that. That's a great one. I ain't gonna lie to you. Great tradition.
Yeah, man. It's also translated to my relationships, man. Like regardless of what happens, man, I always love that person. Like,
Yeah.
that's how it is.
Bro, like you guys could argue, and then like before she leaves the door, you're still gonna say I love you at the end of the day.
man.
Yeah, because you never really know, like you never know how life is gonna go. Like you never know that moment, the way they storm out the doors, where like they might get in a car crash, or that might be the last moment you see them.
Then you live a life with regrets.
And guilt. Oh my God, that's a great one. Like my family, we didn't say that a lot growing up, but recently we started saying it a lot more. I don't know, it just started happening naturally. Like I remember when I was in like middle school, when I was in like elementary and middle school, I didn't hear it as much. And then like going into like leaving middle school and going into freshman year of high school, like my family just started saying it a lot, and then it just started picking it up. So that's a great one. But for me, like a tradition, I really don't know a tradition. I'd probably say Jummah prayer. Jummah prayer is like Friday prayer. We all try to go. It's more heavily like the man is more inclined for the men to go. The women necessarily don't have to, but they can still go. But yeah, probably the Jummah prayer. That's probably like the biggest tradition that I can probably think of, and probably Ramadan outside of that. Okay, so that's all the questions from the Q&A and just pretty much everything. So this is a question we were talking about last night. We were just having a dope-ass conversation last night. This question, I want to bring it back because I said, whoa, let's pause this for tomorrow. We were talking about death tomorrow, right? We were talking about death yesterday. What are your thoughts on death and kind of like the afterlife and all that?
I see death as simply just a portal to the next state of life.
Mhm.
I know death is a huge thing for us, man. It's like, I feel like death honestly runs a lot of our destinies. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And just acknowledging it. But I came to peace with death very much so because of the fact of, like, I kind of live in my spirit, like I'm not this physical being. I come from another spot. I just control this.
Yeah, it's kind of like a motor, like
Yeah,
you're just in a
right.
vehicle.
It's like you're driving a car.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I see it. So it's like you know, and that's in that stance, it's like I'm gonna just do whatever I can with this body, and when this body dies out, I'm gonna have wisdom,
Yeah.
because you know, I don't see death as something to be scared of. I don't, me personally, I don't believe. I believe hell and heaven is a state of being. I believe this is hell, that you're healed. This is like your heaven, and it depends on where you're at. You know, if you're built on survival, you're always on your feet. You know what I'm saying? If you that's where you're stuck at, but you know, you can elevate yourself to a point where you're always right here, man. You're thinking right here. You're cerebral, and that's why I see it as heaven, because you know, it's not about being, you know, all glorious and all grateful to me. I feel like it's about how well you can ascend yourself. You know, how well can you elevate your mindset? You know, are you just looking at things from you know, the plane that you're seeing it at? Or are you looking at things from above? And I'm a person that tends to look at things from above. You know, so in that case, you know, you really can't talk about death. You have to talk about life. That's what death's about.
Oh, okay. Let me ask you, just kind of like a follow up. Do you think death is like the final destination or the final stop?
No, and I feel like in a sense we'll die off in our next stage and we'll enter another stage.
So you kind of think of like reincarnation. You die and then you take over another body, or you take over something else.
Depending on what you accumulate in each stage. Because if you don't learn nothing in this stage, I honestly believe you come right back.
Just into a different body, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting looking at it. But for me, I obviously believe in death. In Islam, there are two things where you should rush to. So like after someone dies, you should hurry up with the death process. You should bury them as fast as possible. And when someone gets married, you should fill out the nikah and do everything as fast as possible. So in terms of death, I obviously believe there's an afterlife. I believe in heaven and hell. And it depends on your actions, what you did on this world. If you had more good deeds than bad deeds, it's simple. People like to overcomplicate it. It's simple. If you did more good deeds than bad deeds, you're going to end up going into heaven. And if you did more bad deeds than good deeds, you're going to end up going into hell. But God is the all merciful and the all forgiving. So there's a story that I really love. There was a prostitute. And she simply went to heaven because she gave a starving dog some food and water. And that's the whole reason why she went to heaven. And on the other end, there are people who do good their entire life, and then at the end of their life, they said, "Oh, I've done so much good," and then they just start doing bad, and then they die on a bad action. That's another big fear of mine. So, I believe there's heaven and hell, obviously, and people. I don't think hell is necessarily like a place, like a dungeon, in where a devil rules over hell. Like I don't think that's what it is. In the Quran, it says that that hell is a beast, and it's held with 70,000 chains. And each chain is held by 70,000 angels. So hell itself is a beast. But you can simply avoid going to hell by saying Allahumma ajidni minan nar 3 times a day, and praying all your prayers and just wholeheartedly believe in God. I feel like people make religion so hard nowadays. Like being a Muslim is so simple. Like you get good deeds for smiling at a person, you get good deeds for napping, you get good deeds for giving charity, even if it's a cent.
So really, it's essentially just knowing yourself, like knowing your body and your limits, and also according that to your God, right?
I wouldn't say so. You say that again. What did you say? Say that again.
So, you know, for you taking a nap, you know, that's good. But for me, also, I know taking a nap is good because I need rest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, but taking a nap, it's sunnah. It's sunnah. So there are stuff called sunnah in Islam. Mm-hmm. Sunnah is what the Prophet Muhammad did. So it's sunnah for you to eat while sitting down. It's sunnah for you to drink water and like take a sip of water, stop, take a sip of water, stop.
So it's traditional mannerisms, like.
You can kind of say that. I'm not a scholar, or I'm not an imam, so I don't want to give you a wrong answer and like kind of give you the wrong information. But you know, like if you do your own research on the religion, like I feel like you would be able to like grasp it. Because like we were saying last night, you said you were basically a Muslim. Like you believe there's one God, mm-hmm. and you believe in the afterlife. So let me ask you one thing. What's the one thing that's stopping you from fully converting to Islam?
A lot of people don't like this, but you know, I feel like I just worship and believe in myself, you know, because I feel like I do my part on this earth for everybody, you know. I see that there's a lot of people in religions. And, you know, there's a lot of people that I've helped out and that are really good people, but genuinely they just won't accept my mindset because I don't believe in their God. And it's like crazy because I'm still living in God's way, just not by your confines of the definition. So I feel like the reason why I want to stay stagnant and believing and worshiping just God, you know, not any religion in specific, is because I feel like my religion is my body. I can't do anything outside of my body without knowing the inside.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Kind of elaborate on it.
Like if I serve for God, I'm gonna, you know, I'm helping somebody out. It doesn't matter who it is, because, you know, like, you know, you said Muslim, they encourage you to go out and explore, you know.
Yeah, it's recommended and it's urged to research other religions and research religions, this, that, and the third.
But the way I feel like the way life goes, you know, it just seems like, how would you pursue haram? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say that I was really busy, you know, because the way things work, it could just be I need rest, and I miss a prayer. That means I'm haram now.
No. See, like I said, like going back to what we were talking about last night, and what I just said about the hadith, everything is judged by your intention.
Okay.
So if your intention was to, like, let's say it was time of prayer and you knew it was a time of prayer, but you said, I'm not gonna pray, I'm gonna go to a party, then that's a sin on you. But if you overslept, or you just simply forgot, like just the day was hectic, you were running errands and you just completely forgot, like that happens to me all the time. Like I might have basketball practice and then we have study hall right after basketball practice, and sometimes it might just slip my mind, but as soon as you remember, like you have to go make that time and pray.
So basically what you're saying is, you see that I practice like a Muslim, all I have to do is just, you know, go practice it.
That's, you basically are Muslim. That's what I'm saying. Like the only thing that's left for you is the shahada, and just basically like accepting that God, there's only one God, and that Prophet Muhammad is his messenger. Like I was saying, like everybody likes to say that, oh, I missed a prayer, this, that, and the third, I'm gonna go to hell, I'm a bad person. No, you're not. Like I said, everything is judged by your intention. If your intention was to wholeheartedly miss it, like the month of Ramadan, it's also like, it's a big sin not to fast the month of Ramadan. So like, you know, it's the month is coming in, and you know, and you wholeheartedly don't fast a single day in the whole month, that's a big sin. But there's obviously like let's say you're pregnant, for example. If you're a pregnant woman, you don't have to fast. You have a bypass. If you're old and you're elderly and you're super weak, you don't have to fast. If you're sick, like let's say you're just super sick, you don't have to fast.
What about sports?
That's not an excuse. Hakeem Olajuwon was playing sports and he was fasting.
He was fasting?
Yeah, he was fasting. Same thing with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like me, when I was playing AAU my junior year, like I was still fasting. So like sports is not, because sports is kind of like a choice. You kind of choose to play sports. Sports is not mandatory. Like if you sat out that game, you're not gonna die. But let's say you're pregnant and you have a child in your stomach and you don't eat the whole month, or it's not the whole month, you don't eat like from sunrise to sunset, that baby's not gonna get enough nutrition, so it's not good for the baby. But like everything that's your choice or within your control, that's gonna be held against you. Like let's say today you're gonna go to a party with some of your friends and there's gonna be food and you don't want to fast. Come on now, that's fully within your control. That's just what I'm saying.
Now. Yeah. Okay, so basically, it's haram is when you've been overcome by temptation.
You can put it like that too, yeah.
Okay.
Temptation happens all the time, and it's like, but at the end of the day, God is the all-forgiving, right? Like you can, but I personally know people who've committed some crazy sins, and then it just takes one time turning back to Allah and saying, "Oh, please forgive me," and just saying astaghfirullah and meaning it. So like intention is such a big thing in the religion, because let's say I commit a sin and then I just say forgive me, but my intention is not for I really don't mean for him to forgive me. I just say forgive me just so he forgives me. Like your intention when you say please forgive me Lord is you try your best not to commit that sin and you move on.
You say it with a visual intention.
You say it with a visual intention. You just don't say astaghfirullah and then go right back to doing it. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
And it's okay if you fall back into it. Like there are people who fall into the same sin 100 times over and over and over. But as long as every time you put into your mind, I'm not gonna commit this sin again. Because humans, we're really weak. Like we're weak. Like we're a weak being. Like we can get persuade easily. So it's just like God knows what can happen to you. So at the end of the day, like everything's judged by intention. That's like the underlining message here. That's what I like to say.
So okay, so I like that because it's being Muslim is more an internal thing.
Kind of like an internal thing and your connection with God.
Internal union with God.
Kind of, yeah.
Because I feel like there's a lot of people that go about it as in kind of going out in the world and trying to transform. But really, it's all the transformation comes inside, from the inside.
Everything was
Because
intention.
you see me as a Muslim, but at the same time, God has told me to come along this path. So maybe God could tell me to be doing this. I don't know. We're not at that point yet, but
Like
long story short, just like you said something about it being a true religion, more so of like, it's crazy how much similarity we have, but I've never even practiced or acknowledged really a Muslim.
But that's how the majority of reverts come to the religion. It's just like you said that one time when you prayed, like you tried praying and you just felt like you felt some sort of heaviness and just happiness, right? Like one of my friends that I've known, like he converted to Islam, and you wouldn't guess like someone like him would convert. Like he's a gangster, not like a gangster, but like he's into like the hardcore life. He tows guns, he slings drugs, this, that, and the third. And at the end of the day, I randomly was just going on my feed, and then I seen that he converted, and then I asked him, I was like, yo, what made you convert to Islam? And then he was saying, just a feeling of peace. Like every time I pray, I feel peaceful. And I said, I kind of agree with that. Just like everything's with your intentions. Yeah. But stay tuned. Are you still trying to go down to the mosque?
Yeah,
we might have to record a YouTube video. My boy Mike might go to the mosque with me. We might try like when we have a break for basketball. When's that break like?
First break is Thanksgiving.
First break. We might do our first break, or we also have a break on Christmas. So it might be one of those two. But I appreciate you for coming on today. We had a substitute. Did kill the interview. And I appreciate for everyone who watched it. If you guys want more stuff like this, put it in the comments. DM me on Instagram. And just make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I always say that, but appreciate you guys.
Through the wastelands, through the highways, and on.